According to the latest rumors slash leaks coming out from the world of Marvel Cinematic Universe, 3 MCU movies are actually cancelled, and the 3 movies are Eternals 2, Antman 4 and The Marvels 2. Now these rumors slash leaks are coming out from a trusted industry insider named as Daniel RPK, and almost everyone who follows such kind of news from the coming out from the MCU, they all actually refer to his news. So in this video I'll discuss whatever the news we have got till now, and I'll also express my opinions on that. So anyways, he says that these 3 movies are actually cancelled by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the reason he gave was that Bob Iger, who is the main man or who is the CEO of Disney, he said that moving forward they'll only produce the projects which are a sure shot hit, which means they'll only make the movies which are a guaranteed hit. And this comes out from the fact that you know the falling standards of the MCU. But anyways, on the other hand, I want to really talk about Eternals 2, because out of these 3 cancelled, and we are supposing that these 3 movies are actually cancelled, so if you consider that, now out of these 3 movies, Eternals 2 has a very curious case, because as we have known that Kevin Feige, who is the boss of the MCU, he actually plans movies possibly 10 years into the future. That means if he made Eternals 2 in the year 2020, he must have planned a big future for the sequel movie of the Eternals, or at least their characters, because you might be remembering the end of Eternals movie had a huge cliffhanger, and they have not addressed anything from that cliffhanger or that ending even today. And therefore Kevin Feige actually wanted to go ahead and make the second Eternals movie, but reportedly Bob Iger is saying no to that, and he says that Eternals 2, if made, is going to really tank at the box office. It is going to be a sure shot disaster. But Kevin Feige, on the other hand, as I said, he still wants to make the Eternals 2 movie. And now from a different source we have learned that the Eternals 2 movie has not cancelled, but is actually being transformed. And if you remember, Eternals 2 was the first movie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe which was actually rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. So that was a huge thing for MCU, because the first movie and first are always difficult. So therefore Bob Iger, rightfully so, he says, so just drop Eternals 2. But now what's my opinion on it? Alright, if Kevin Feige wants to make it, let him do it, because Kevin Feige, he knows what he's doing, and if he wants to make Eternals 2, Kevin Feige must be having a huge plan in his mind. The end that they wanted to pull off in the sequel of Eternals, so they want to, set up these cosmic characters, and he wants to make a good cosmic movie which will end up the stories of the Eternals. So I think that might be the plan of Kevin Feige, but it's still risky, because Eternals 1 didn't get any good reception from fans either, so it's a difficult bet to take. Now let's talk about our second movie. The second movie which is supposedly cancelled is The Marvels 2. Well, to be honest, when the Captain Marvel movie came out, it came out in a different era. It was all related to Endgame and all those stuff. But then recently, when we saw in November, I think, when we saw Marvel's movie came out, it was actually a very different movie to judge, because it was kind of a sequel to the Captain Marvel movie, then it was also a sequel to a series, Miss Marvel, and then it was actually another continuation to a side character that we saw in the Scarlet Witch TV show. So it was all an amalgamation of that, and yeah, it wasn't bad at the end of the day. It was just a fun, cool movie, but it wasn't that great. And yeah, fans also didn't really support that movie, and a lot of things went against the movie, because just before that movie came out, we had Secret Invasion, which was again not at all well received. But what about the future? What about the cancelled movie? I think the way they ended the Marvels movie, that movie actually has only 2 futures. One is related to the story of Young Avengers, because at the end of that movie we saw that Iman Vellani actually recruited Kate Bush, and she was actually forming the Young Avengers. So that is one storyline, and the other storyline is about the end credit scene where we saw the X-Men actually coming into our universe and all. Now if these 2 stories are about to tell in the future, then there's literally no need for another Miss Marvel kind of a movie, because the Young Avengers storyline could be dealt in a separate Young Avengers movie, and all these recruitments can happen in that movie itself. And on the other hand, if we talk about the X-Men storyline, I think we are not in a position to talk about the X-Men because of the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Any talk about the X-Men character should be after the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. That's how I feel. Now let's talk about the third movie, Ant-Man 4. Again, Ant-Man 3 was supposed to be that big multiversal movie which actually sets up Kang as the main villain. That was again not very well received by fans, and there's not a lot of story to tell from the perspective of Ant-Man. to give him a solo movie. But the story of Kang will be carried forward in the MCU, but it doesn't need an Ant-Man movie. And if you want to give a fourth movie to Ant-Man, there has to be some personal stakes to Ant-Man. But to Ant-Man's character, the only stakes that are remaining is about his inclusion in the multiversal thing. And I think there is no need for a dedicated movie for that. Instead of that, you can use Ant-Man the character in other Marvel movies, which will be more focused on the multiversal saga, and to end that multiversal saga, because believe it or not, we are actually coming to the end of the multiversal saga. So yeah, that's what I feel about Ant-Man 4 as well, that it's really not that necessary. But the only movie which has a very curious case about it is none other than the Eternals 2, because Kevin Feige wants to make it, and if Kevin Feige wants to make it, it should be made. So yeah, that's all. We have covered the news as well, and I've also shared my opinion. So please comment below your opinions, and do you agree with me or you disagree with me? You can please share that in the comment section as well. I really appreciate that. So yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching.